Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurme Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara. Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharani Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche. Swaha. Om Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahakali Rupene Samstita. Namaste Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupene Samstita. Namaste Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahasaraswati Rupene Samstita. Namaste Namo Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharane Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Hanumanji Maharaj Ki Jai. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 26th of September 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagwan, residing in the heart of every single being. Today is day number 5 of Navratri, dedicated to Devi Skandamata. So we want to talk a little bit about this, give you a small overview on Skandamata, how this connection is there into the overall structure of the Shakti Upasana, how that connects with Prema Bhakti and the liberated state, the Mukta state. It's quite interesting that, the Skanda refers to Kartike, who is one of the two children of Shivji and Devi Parvati. So the Skandamata, the four arms, they are representing there's lotuses and boons and for protection. She's seated on a lion or lotus Padmasana, symbolizing courage, grounding in serenity. The infant Skanda is in the lap, which represents grace that matures strength. So there's a lot of symbolism and meaning behind this, certainly. It basically, the point is that we want that kind of strength, courage, valor, gentleness. All of these beautiful qualities can open up within us. That's one meaning. Of course, the Upasana and Bhakti of Devi. What does it do in general? It opens the doorway into Brahman, into super consciousness. That is its purpose, actually. It is a way of utilizing mantra sadhana, stotras, havans, etc., pujans and other things, other ways of going about, multiple ways of opening that doorway into Brahman, into super consciousness. It is a very powerful way. It is a very interesting way because we are living inside the universe. We are living inside Brahmand. And because we're living inside the Brahmand, there are experiences that we are going to have. Now, I'm going to try to see how to connect this here with the Mukta state. Because the goal is to live a liberated state completely. Now here's one of the difficulties in sadhana. Let's say a person starts to chant mantras, any mantra. You take Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche, you do that as a main mantra, or the Namah Shivaya mantra, some particular upasana, or just regular bhakti, regular bhajan, kirtan, Bhagwan ka dhyan with regards to the form. भगवान का जो साकार स्वरूप है उसका ध्यान. However one is going about this, you will notice the trouble that happens psychologically. Let's say a sadhak is doing regular pujan, mantras, is worshipping Bhagwan, doing all those kinds of things, living a dharmic life, ethical life, is trying to reach the liberated state, the mukta state. But let's say that individual, after spending 3-4 hours in the day, maybe 2 hours, an hour, half an hour, some period of time. We do our regular activity. But let's say, for example, we watch some series on Netflix. Look at what happens here. Netflix, Hulu, whatever, right? Start watching some series on there. You will notice what happens here. You start doing puja, start doing bhajan, kirtan, havan, whatever you're doing. Those images, those actors and storylines and those things will pop up, and it will cause a blockage. Have you ever tried this? You see the trouble that happens here. Now the problem is, does that mean that we don't interact with the worldly experience? We have people, we have friends, we have parties to go to and all those kinds of things, right? Events to go to. The mind also needs development. We also need different experiences. You cannot just be sitting in front of the murti and doing mantras 24 hours. It's not going to happen. You can do for long periods of time, but not completely. You go mad if you try to do that. You cannot do that also. Maybe for some periods of time. Mind cannot just do one thing. It has to have diversity of experience. Now this is where the trouble begins as far as spiritual practices go. Because when we are trying to focus on God, concentrate on Bhagwan, and everything else we're doing in our life comes right up and causes an obstruction in that connection. Is this not so? Think about it. Try to see it. That this is what happens. Now, is it possible to interact with the people of the world and our jobs and careers and events and parties and I don't know, whatever it is that we do, things that we watch on TV and all that? Is it possible to have all of that, and so that in a way that it doesn't cause an obstruction in sadhana? When you're doing sadhana for bhajan, kirtan, you're doing mantra jap or all this kind of stuff, you're doing all this, and the other activities, they can cause an obstruction. I remember one Swaminarayan Sadhu talk about this, that in the Swaminarayan Satsang they have these, sometimes they used to have, I don't know if they have now, but they used to have these long 9-day programs, 9-day or 7-day Bhagavatam program and all that stuff. So people attend them and they're doing bhajans and all that kind of stuff. They go home and watch one Hindi movie you watch for 2 hours, the whole 9 days is wiped out. Think about it. The entire effect of that 9-day upasana, sadhana, puja, everything, that the spiritual effect is obliterated by one film. This is a fact, and it is definitely obliterated because those films have actors, actresses, stories, rag, dvesh, mamatva, different stories, different emotions mixed. That purity of Bhagavatam, purity of bhakti is absolutely damaged. What can you do? Is there any way to avoid that? You notice what happens. That's why people don't realize God. They're not going to realize God also. There's no chance of anybody realizing God as long as the spinning is going on. Little bit of spiritual progress and then destroy. Little bit of spiritual progress, destroy. Little bit of spiritual progress, destroy. What realization will happen? Now here's the problem. Does it mean we just don't watch anything on TV? We just live in a cave? We just only are doing mantras and Bhagavad Gita and pujan and that's it and nothing else? You see the trouble here. What's the answer to this question? Literally, and this is a fact, if you're attending a retreat, a satsang program for 9 days, and there is good food, there is prasadam, there is havans and pujan and good conversations and all that kind of beautiful spiritual atmosphere, mandir ka atmosphere hai. You come back home, watch one Bollywood movie, everything is wiped out. Guaranteed it is wiped out. Because the antakarana is now it's mixed up with those images of all those actors, the stories, the songs, the rajogun, it changes the antakarana, and that 9 days goes to zero. Some sanskar is there, some punyam, little bit of punyam remains, that's it, nothing other than that. Iska kya kare? What is the answer? Does anybody have an answer? Who has the answer to this question? Has anybody ever talked about this? People, there's throughout Sanatan Dharma, throughout the world, People give donations to churches, to temples, to gurudwaras, to this, that. Everybody's only spinning in circles. They're not going anywhere. कोई प्रगति नहीं होती जीवन में. आध्यात्मिक तो नहीं होती because of these reasons. And then the other problem is that how do you live in the world? Just to live in the temple only? Yeah, you cannot live that way. You have to work, you have to have families, this, that, diversity of experience. इसका क्या solution है? I've challenged anybody to give a solution. Who has a solution to this problem? So there are people who are constantly going in spiritual groups. So many. I've even heard so many commentators talk about this difficulty, but they don't have a solution. Who has a solution to this problem? Open challenge. Open challenge. On this auspicious day of Navratri time, open challenge on this point. Who has a solution to this? Everybody's spinning in circles. That's why nobody realizes God. But how can you live in this sansar? Sansar mein bhi rehna hai. But when you start living in the sansar, everything is recorded in the mind. Rag, dvesh, aham, mamat, the images, the people on news, you turn on the news, all those images are permanently recorded inside the chitta. What are you going to do about them? What can you do about it? Like if Sachin is starting to watch some Netflix series and I'm interested in that, all of those images are going to come inside. Devi ka swarup, Shivji ka swarup, wo sab, that goes on the side. Now it's all battle. It's a massive chaos inside. On one hand, I'm trying to focus on God. On the other hand, all of these actors are living inside. The stories are inside my mind. What am I supposed to do? How does a person live in this world this way? Even pujaris, temple priests and all that, they go home to their householder life, come back down to zero level, even though they're trained and all that. Koi pragati nahi hoti. I've had very advanced people, highly trained. I won't give the names. I've met many of them. They say we cannot progress. We're not progressing at all. They know thousands of mantras. Thousands. Zero progress. Why? Because of this pollution from outside. But how do you deal with it? Then there's the vasanas from inside. Open challenge है सचिन का. Who has an answer? बताओ. किसके पास answer है इसका? Any pujari has an answer? Who has an answer? Any shastra has an answer? Any human being, any guru has, who has an answer to this question? Has anybody found an answer to this? You see, and this is the trouble. Think about it this way. There are individuals who sometimes go off into these secluded places. I'll give you a simple example, Smoky Mountains, because I used to live in that area years back. You would see actually people getting these cabins. You know, they would have these cabins over there. They want to get away from their regular life. They want to get away from their regular life. They want to not be part of their regular activity. So the 3 or 4 days retreat, they'll be by themselves. Sab chhod do. You know, maybe take a small laptop. Some people go for meditation. They do some school work, I don't know, homework, or they do some office work in the nature. You see people sitting like inside these areas, in isolated areas inside, to get away from life. But then what? But then what happens? How long can you stay away? A week maybe? 4 days? 5 days? People also go to Las Vegas for the same reason. 3 or 4 days. Farak kya hai isme? And then they come back home, same chaos, same issues, same problems. Not only that, the deflection happens right away. Even one argument with somebody will destroy years of sadhana, not just days. Years. Spirituality is no small thing. It's very difficult to understand what it is even, and how to reach that thing. People have done extreme things, even with food and all that. All kinds of fasting. That doesn't work also. Just by fasting, you think you'll realize God? Impossible. No way. What is the answer? Who has an answer? Kiske paas answer hai iska? Which scripture has an answer? Is there an answer? Or there's no answer to this question? If there's no answer to this question, there's no mukti of any kind. There has to be an answer. And there is actually, which I will share with you. Whatever Sachin has understood, we can share that with you. But that this is what the mukta state is all about. So here's Sachin's reflection on this. I'm sharing with you humbly. आप इसको ध्यान पे, you look at it in your own way. When I consider myself as a Jivan Mukta, मैं मुक्ता ही हूँ, then whatever interaction is happening, interaction in life is going to happen. But my vision is a liberated vision, liberated interaction, liberated recording of experience. This is the answer. It's not a verbal answer. ये एक आंतरिक स्थिति, liberated interaction. Sachin talks to 10 people. The action is without binding, without entanglement. It is recorded, but the entire activity is placed in the light of Mahashakti. And this is the essence of Navratri. Navratri is a solution to this problem. Has anybody ever talked about this before? I want to know. Maybe. Send me the information. I'd love to hear somebody talk about this. Otherwise, everybody is spinning in circle, going nowhere. Going absolutely nowhere. Doesn't matter how many scriptures anybody knows. They're spinning in circles because of the lack of the internalization of the liberated state. If Sachin doesn't have that internalized state, just spinning in circles. And this is why J. Krishnamurti talked about the pathless path. That was the whole point of this. That was the whole point of what he was saying, which is absolutely correct. Everybody's just spinning. But how to stop that? It's very simple, very straightforward actually. Liberated interaction. Mukta sthiti mein रहकर kriya karna. तो किसके साथ बंधन है? Where is the issue? There's no issue. Now, if the recording is there internally of things that are going on, it is recorded in the chitta, in the light of consciousness, in the light of Shakti, in the light of Jnana, in the light of Vairagya, in the light of divinity, in the light of a much broader vision which one doesn't ever lose. And the Bhagavad Gita teaches this. I hope this makes sense. I would want to hear from all of you. It's a challenge. It's an open challenge. Open challenge. It's incredible the things, humbly speaking, in this life, the things that I have heard, the people that I have met. And they have admitted to me openly, we are going nowhere. We know rituals, we know pujas, mantras, this, that, we know everything. We cannot make any progress. We make some progress, we fall back down to ground zero. Our vasanas pull us back. Our entanglements pull us back. We want money, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want... All kinds of things are going on. Mukta sthiti aati hi nahi. Kaise aayegi? Kisko aayi hai? You see the problem. This is why every single day, Sachin here at the feet of all the great sages and Paramatma is constantly pushing this point, Mukta Bano. Stay in that state. That's the only solution. There's a solution, but that solution has to be internalized that मैं मुक्त हूँ. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not bound anywhere. बंधन ही नहीं है. Bound at the feet of Paramatma, and every experience of life is also in that divine, in that divya anubhuti. That's the art of not getting bound to Anubhav. Anubhav to जीवन में होगा. How can we say that we're not going to watch news? Obviously you're going to watch news. Obviously you're going to watch something on Netflix. Obviously you're going to go to events and birthday parties and get together. Obviously. It is not about avoiding life. Where in the Bhagavad Gita it says you avoid life? Show me one verse even. Open challenge. Challenge आपको सबको open challenge है और whole humanity को open challenge hai. Show one verse where in the Gita it says that where Bhagavan Krishna is saying you escape from life. No way. No way. That is not the teaching of the Gita. Even the definition of sannyas doesn't mean running away somewhere. That's not its meaning. It is the internal liberated state. That's what it's all about. Now, to reach that stage, we don't want to be spinning around back and forth with all of these problems internally. We don't want that. The way to avoid that is to put everything into divinity. Literally everything. You go for a walk inside the mall and that is a mandir. Is it possible? You go for a walk inside the park, wo mandir hai. You're at home, wo mandir hi hai. We think of temple in terms of mandir, wahan Bhagwan ka vigrah hai, Bhagwan ki murti hai, archan, pujan, havan, this, that. That is important. That is a sadhana. But mandir is not limited. Where, in which scripture does it say that this small structure is the mandir? Where does it say that? Open challenge. There's not a single place where that is written. Mandir ka concept wo nahi hai. Where? In the Bhagavatam? Do you know what the Bhagavatam actually says? If you see Bhagwan only in the Murti, that is just the very beginning. The second level is to see in all the devotees. Third level is to see God everywhere. Think about this. The solution to this problem that Sachin has presented here is that bring every action into divinity. Divya bhav mein, divya drishti mein. In the higher vision, you can see the play of Maya. And then from that, when we perceive the play of Maya, Daivi Yesha Gunamai Mama Maya, when we can see the play of Maya, it will definitely not affect us. It will not distract us from Akhanda Bhakti. Because now it is seen already in the realm of the power of God. I hope this makes sense. Please ask questions and make comments about this. For example, let's say my mother contacts me, mother of this body, and she gives some conversation is there. So that conversation is recorded. Can the conversation be heard in the divine light? She's talking about some worldly thing, let's say. Okay, koi baat nahi. If you understand it, listen to it. That entire experience is seen in divinity. Is it possible? How is that possible? But that is the spirituality. If somebody's drinking beer next to you or hard liquor, can you see that as divine? How is that possible? We will start taking fault of that person. And if we take fault of that person and that experience will be recorded inside our mind, that will distract us from Akhanda Bhakti. Avgun liya kiska? How do you take that experience? Let's say an individual is drinking alcohol, using foul language, is absolutely out of control, and you have to interact with that person for some reason. Then what? Can the interaction, the vision, the memory of that 10-15 minutes, can that be stored inside in a liberated way? That's what Navratri is about. That is what Shivratri is about. It is about the ability to store the experiences without getting bound to them and to see them in a completely new way, in a liberated way, through the lens of a mukta, through the lens of a great sage. What if Shankaracharya Ji, Adi Shankaracharya Ji, is the person sitting next to that individual who's dressed up in shorts and a t-shirt, not like how we see Shankaracharya. Same person. How would he interact with that person? What is happening in his antakarana? Is he recording the experience? Yes. Is it bothering him? No. Is he seeing it in a divine light? Yes. Is he seeing the play of Maya? Yes. That experience of 10 minutes of a person shouting, screaming, yelling, getting drunk, and making all kinds of terrible jokes and all of that thing is seen as divine also. How is that possible? Wo sthiti kya hai? How is that even possible? Think about it. Most human beings will be drawn into that. And if we get drawn into that, finish. 10-15 days of sadhana goes to zero. It takes only 5 minutes to completely destroy years of sadhana. Years, not just days. It takes only a few minutes. You find one fault with somebody, years of sadhana is wiped out. किसी के साथ क्रोध किया, years of sadhana is wiped out. It gets wiped out right away. Tell one lie, half of one's accumulated punyam is gone. That is the equation. That's why nobody can realize God with all this going on. You think Bhagwan is going to be coming in front of us? Forget about it. Think about this thing. It's that ridiculous. Whatever lie we are telling, that burns half of the punyam. Burns it right away. It literally destroys it. This is the impact of all of this thing. So one has to be very, very careful. Just 1 second. One has to be extremely careful that if you have to speak truth in a way that is beneficial, pleasing, and be careful about how to speak the language. Because if it is ego-driven language, I'll give you a simple example. Let's take this mala. Let's say I've done, let's say 51,000 times Om Namah Shivaya mantra. And out of some kind of an egotistical desire, I tell one lie to somebody. Half of that punyam is gone. This is the spiritual equation. ये सत्य बात सचिन बोल रहा है, किसी के साथ कुछ नहीं चाहिए. ये जो सत्य है, this is the reality actually. This is why people don't realize God. They can never realize God. It's not possible to realize God with any of these things going on. It's never possible. That's why nobody has, very few have ever realized God. Because of all of this mess. The way out of it, that's why Bhagwan Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanavanam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Wo jo line is Sa Mahatma, that is us now. Don't delay that thing. That is a back door. That is me right now. And everything will be taken care of. You don't have to wait for next life, next day, next year, nothing like that. It is available right now. And when we resonate with that, everything will automatically get reset. Sarva dharman paritajya mamekam sharanam braja. You come to me directly, everything is taken care of. Hey, ye satya baat hai. Otherwise, the spinning in sadhana is done. Something abhav, avgun, rag, dvesh, different images obstructing. Wiped out. We keep what human beings are doing. They do some level of spiritual practice. They make some progress, and then they wipe it out. Confession boxes, another example of that. That's another example. A lot of in Christianity, the concept you're already a sinner. You have to just accept God. You cannot actually become anything divine. Yeah, God will make you divine. You can sanctify yourself. Different concept. So then, okay, to lage raho. Just accept Jesus. He'll take care of us at the end. Whatever we're doing. That's a different idea. So that's another thing. You see this point. The solution to all this with all humility is mukta. Mukta sthiti ke saath, मैं कौन हूँ? मैं भगवान का दास हूँ और मैं मुक्त हूँ. Whatever mistakes we have made, whatever problems are there, don't focus on any of it. Don't focus on the distortions. Keep your attention on the liberated divine state. That is Navratri. That is Shakti. That is Mahashakti. And वो देवी की अद्भुत शक्ति है. So when we do mantra sadhana, whatever sadhana we do, it's okay. But it's not, the sadhana is not going to take us to God. For example, Sachin is doing sadhana every day or doing mahavans and all this thing, whatever we're doing. Does that mean that, okay, because I'm doing this now, Bhagwan has to come to me, that God is going to come to me as a result of my sadhana? God is not the result of anybody's sadhana. Bhagwan ka darshan, Bhagwan ka sakshatkar kab hota hai? When the bhakta is 100% in synchronous link. वो जो internal link की बात है. It is not about the quantity of sadhana. Although that is important for our counting and other things, for structure. That's okay. So these are some things to keep in mind. It's very sad, in fact. When I have heard very, very great, highly trained individuals in spirituality say that they are absolutely nowhere. They have confided that to me. That we are not progressing at all. We are not able to progress at all. Simply because our vasanas are there. Because we are just spinning. That's it. This problem is there, described in so many scriptures. is described in Vachanamrut throughout also. Garada Ante number 2, Vachanamrut. My God, it's a very serious, it's called Chitta Vibhrant. It's a dispersion of the Chitta Vritti. You know? और जो भगवान स्वामीनारायण का वेदरस है, माय गॉड, उन्होंने तो क्या लिखा है उसमें ऑन दिस पॉइंट. किसी का अवगुण नहीं लेना. वी फाइंड वन फॉल्ट विद समबडी, इट विल डैमेज एंड डिस्ट्रॉय आवर आध्यात्मिक path. You know, so speaking foul language to others, thinking negative of somebody, all that, or over analyzing the material that is coming inside our mind. You know, people are so angry with politicians and why this is happening. All we're doing is contaminating our inner space. That's all it is. You want all of those so-called, whoever the politicians are in the world that we don't like, they're living inside of us. Do we want them to live inside of us, or do we want Bhagwan Krishna and Radhika ji to live inside of us? Who do we want living inside? We know, we're aware of so many different people and objects and all that thing, but they should not be holding any emotional charge or any kind of an obstructive effect from the inside. That's it. जो मुक्त है, they do not create memories in a way that creates an obstruction from inside. The memories are stored without obstruction. Okay, so I'll open it up for some questions and all that. Let me just do the closing mantra, and then we'll go into it. It's very interesting. ये open challenge है, open challenge on this Navratri time. Om Sarva Mangal Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharan Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namah. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Swaha Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Swaha. Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Hrim Swaha.